for it to be 11:30. Oh, and it is. Look at that. So, hello, everybody. This is Natalie Case coming to you from my living room for a little change of pace. Lighting in here is strange, but I think I've got it worked out so that you should be able to be seeing me fairly well. I had a good time for Saturday. I think it was Saturday when I read some poetry for you. It kind of spurred me into a little writing spree the last couple of days. Something I like to do when with that I know, or with people I'm getting to know, because it helps me get to know for say 6 or 10 words or whatever, or an idea of what they'd like a poem about, and I go away and I write them a poem. And I did that over on my own page, my personal page, yesterday. And I had a good time, very challenging, because I have some friends who always want to make it difficult and give me words that I actually have to go look up. I have a pretty huge vocabulary, but I did have to look up a couple words. What might be fun is for us to do that. I have a pinned post on my author's page asking for your words, or a challenge to write it in a certain style of poetry or whatever. I do enjoy a good challenge. And if you drop some words and whatever, I will take some time to write it. And then next week I will do one of these dedicated just to those poems, reading those. Hi, Cheryl. So anyway, I thought we'd just get started. I've picked out a number of poems. I'm cold, so I'm drinking tea. I apologize. So I thought I tried to pick out some that were a little more upbeat than I did the other day. I realized we're in need of some uplifting, right? So, but some of these are, as always, it's going to be a little dark. There are a couple of adult content ones in here. I will warn before the swear words come so that you can cover little ears. And some of them are, I wrote them a long time ago, but they're very apt to the current situation. And so I chose those to read today as well. So I'm going to start with one that I wrote probably 20 years ago or more. I was still in El Paso when I wrote it. And it was one of those that poured out of me in, like 15 minutes. And I've never changed a single word, even though I've tried to tinker with it several times. Everything just works. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that one. And it's called The Forgotten Wait Alone. Dogma and deafening decibels, screaming struggles for our souls, secular semantics filling hollow, empty souls, forgotten faith and freedom, a destiny designed, a world where will and wonder are quickly undermined. Gods of glitter and gaiety adorn administrative walls, and devils dressed in papal robes hold hell in hallowed halls. Reverence raped and ravaged, privileged power now presides in the courts of human worship, while the world at war takes sides. And somewhere far beneath it all, in anguish all their own, in blind brooding silence, the forgotten wait alone. Another unique thing about this particular one is that it rhymes. Most of my stuff doesn't. I actually have 2 or 3 in here that do. So I'm sorry, Cheryl. It seems to be fine on my end. Hi, Cassie. Hi, Ronnie. Let me know if you keep having troubles, and I will see if it's something I can fix. So a lot of my poetry is very introspective. I think a lot of poets write specifically to process their own feelings, their own thoughts, that type of thing. This next piece comes from a period where I was really, a number of these are going to be like this today. I was really figuring out me, and this is another one that I'm not sure exactly what was the impetus to start it, but this one is called Collecting Myself. Pieces of who I am or who I should be scattered across a lifetime of moments, scribbled in crayon on dinner napkins, like the phone number of a one-night stand, forgotten the next day. Lost in muttered phrases, repeating an ending in the corners of my brain, tossed around with all the pieces of those I have passed along the way. In some lucid daydream of wildflowers with faces that I pick and choose, collecting myself together again in the basket of my soul, reclaiming the pieces of who I am. Thanks, Ronnie. Yes, it is recording, and it should be posted shortly after we're done. Stupid weather getting in our way. But I do remember what that was like back when I lived on the East Coast, and the weather would really just wreck everything. So there was a period where my mom read a fair amount of my stuff, and she gave me a hard time about how dark so much of my poetry was. And so I spent a couple of months trying really hard to write more upbeat, more fun, even silly stuff. And this next one, there's a couple pieces in here that are like that. This next one is called An Ode to My Tattoo. And I wrote it shortly after I got my, I'm backwards today, the tribal unicorn I have on my left arm. Wrought in the pain of artistry, forever on my skin, bold strokes of black ink outlining an image chosen from a wall, offered up in sacrifice to the great gods of my forefathers, a sign of my devotion to my craft, the mark of braver beauty, indelible, wrought in the pain of artistry, forever on my skin. So we get to the part where I'm going to read the naughty stuff. So if there's little ears around, you might want to supervise them. There is a mild swear in this particular piece, and there's a bigger swear in the next. So this particular piece belongs to that series of poems that are tied together through the word tonight and the particular style I write them in. This one is called Talk Dirty to Me. I promised myself wine and roses tonight, but gave in to Bacardi instead. Not that I'm drunk. Feeling more like Stallone than Gear. I'm not picky, I just know what I want. Frustration penetrates my desire, just like you do me. Have you ever wanted to crawl out of your skin? Let me borrow yours. I want to crawl inside you and bask naked in the sun, hot like your breath on my navel. Dance for me, stripping thoughts and masks. You know I melt when you talk dirty to me. All the unnecessary bullshit, like so much dirty laundry, moving fluidly, primordially. Is this what gods feel when they touch? So I apologize if I stutter. I'm like glancing over at the comments as I'm reading, and it sometimes interrupts me. So I apologize. So this next one is in the same particular series. It's shorter. A lot of those particular pieces end up long because I feel like I end up with a lot to say. But anyway, this one is called Promises. It feels like tomorrow tonight. Fresh promises, clean like morning air. I ache holding you. Your face streaked with the agony of admitting it all, pressing into my emotional debris. And somewhere between our last fuck and your first tear, something changed. In me, in you, no going back now that the words have been spoken. And again, this whole series of poems is kind of like a walk through this bad relationship. So yeah, there you go. There you have it. So this next one is also technically part of that series, although it's in it. But it felt very pertinent to the world we're living in right now. And again, there's several of those today. This is called What Have We Done? No swear words, no sex. The world feels like apocalypse tonight. As the sky grows dark, no moon, no stars, just the taste of ash. Quiet doom hangs over the horizon as the fires rage, burns, and the acid of our sin pours down the cheeks of our children. What have we done? How is this our legacy? Fear races pride, the cradle broken, the grave undug. No one survives. No one finds the bodies. Leave them for the bugs to start again. I promise they're not all depressing. I did promise you fun. There's some fun in here. So one of the things that, honestly, as I was looking through poems to do this, I was struck by how so many of the things that I wrote 20 years ago are so relevant to what's going on in the world today. This next piece, I think this piece started because I was watching a documentary on the LA riots. I watch a lot of documentaries, if you don't know that already. But I think that's where this piece started. Again, this was written a long, long time ago. And I realized that it really plays to today. It is also very dark. I apologize. Also a rhyming poem, which I don't do very often. This one is called The Mirror. Maddening chaos of a wicked walled-in world where bigots rule the masses, their hate like flags unfurled. A generation's genocide comes off without a hitch as the hatred born of pain and doubt climbs to a fevered pitch, building through the centuries of prejudice and fear, growing in the decades of trials and treasured tears. The madness swirls and eddies like the ocean's tides and waves, feeding like a cancer on the terror it creates. It seethes beneath the surface, just barely out of sight, waiting for the moment it can slip into the light. A cold, dark hand like death itself slinks slowly from the dark to reach into the shaded spot found at a nation's heart. As day comes, the aftermath finds a country on its knees, history bared for all the world to see. We sit in silence, stare in shock at what we see. For the horror in that silence is the mirror in front of me. Okay, let's do something fun. We've had a bunch of dark. Let's do something fun. So this next one came out of that whole thing of my mom telling me to lighten up and find some fun in my poetry. I honestly, the first line happened and then the rest of it just came, and I can't tell you. I'm just going to read it. It's called The Nature of Madness. I just saw Elvis having dinner with the Dane. They were speaking Shakespeare's language, exchanging soliloquies and monologues over burgers and blizzards. Hamlet raged in sleep-deprived lunacy about Ophelia's lust and ghosts and graves, while Elvis mumbled something to do with Priscilla's hair and Cadillacs. And no one even noticed. As Elvis dribbled chocolate sauce on his white lapel, Hamlet's voice, and they laughed together, each understanding the nature of madness. Okay, we got two more. The next one was the one I was going to end on when I remembered I wrote something yesterday. I kind of promised to do brand new something that no one's ever heard before. So I'll finish with that one, and I'll do this one first. This one is also a rhymey poem. This one is it starts out a little dark, but it ends on a really good high note. It's called Rebirth. And I'm just going to let it speak for itself. It tells its own story. Kneeling in obscurity beneath my own desires, buried by the residue of someone else's fires, hidden in the of long forgotten dreams, scattered and divided and torn up at the seams. Trapped within the passions that I must never show, holding to the fantasies that I might never know, severed from the things I want by those who care for prison walls and praying to be free. Clutched inside another's pain, held fast within the fears, drowning in an ocean of dry and unshed tears. Longing for the freedom that fills my dreams each night, to cast aside this cloak of doubt and climb into the light, knowing if I do not try, then I will never know, anxiously awaiting, alone, afraid to go. Mending up the seams, finding an increasing strength in my old and tattered dreams, kneeling in obscurity, holding my desire, building in the ruins a small but growing fire. Okay, we're down to one last one. I'm going to pause before I do that and point out in the description, well, over there, for me anyway, I don't know about you, is my Venmo and my PayPal. If you are liking what I'm doing and you want to tip a little bit, they're very much appreciated, but not necessary. I am unemployed and attempting to pay for a house in California. So every penny is a good penny for me. So there you go. You'll also notice I talk about the poem, writing a poem just for you. Please stop by my author's page and check out that pinned post and drop me some words. Here in the comments on this particular video, if there's something else you'd like me to read for you, say something out of one of my published books, something from a work in progress, or I just found a giant book of Edgar Allan stuff. So if you'd like me to read some Edgar Allan poetry or a short story, you can ask for that too. And we'll try that. I'm going to get through this craziness. So, yeah, there we go. I'm going to finish off with this last piece. I just wrote it yesterday. It's not one of the ones I wrote for people who gave me words. It's one that came out before I started doing that. It's called Concrete Flowers. And it's much more happy and uplifting than anything else I've read today, I think. Except maybe that last one. Pebbles of life dropped unsuspecting into darkness and besieged with rain, giving birth where none bear witness until they burst from the cracks and holes to bloom in concrete. So there you have it. That's me for today. I hope you enjoyed. Drop me a note. I love to hear from folks, and we'll do this again maybe Friday or Saturday. I'll pick out some more stuff to read. So there you go. You guys have a wonderful day. Be safe. Stay home. Clean your hands. Clean your surfaces. You know, all that good stuff. And I love you. See you soon.